Next on the Beyond the Flags podcast, he is now a three-time Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals Fueled by Casey's champion in 3 different divisions, including the Sunoco IMCA Late Models and Friesen Performance IMCA Modifieds this year. Coming off of the Budweiser Nationals victory in Bakersfield last Saturday, it's Dylan Thornton, originally out of Santa Maria, California, now living in Iowa these days, talking about his racing career, his rise from the Central California coast to now in the Hawkeye State. That's coming up next. But before we get to the interview, make sure wherever you're listening or watching from, you hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. Well, he calls Belle Plaine, Iowa home now these days, originally from Santa Maria, California, and joining us on the Beyond the Flags podcast, Dylan Thornton. Dylan, great to have you here. We've been trying to put this together for a little bit of time. My goodness, 2024, it's been rather sensational for you, especially for some marquee events in the Speedway Motors IMCA Weekly Racing Series.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I guess the year started off better than most, and we kind of carried speed throughout the year. And obviously, Super Nationals is one of my favorite events of the year, and we were fortunate enough to carry our speed into that event and kind of showcase what we've been working on all year long. Bounce around between all kinds of different cars. We kind of weren't able to showcase all of the speed we really had in our modified all year long until the event, but I guess it worked out the way it did.
And no doubt, referring to the big dance of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals Fueled by Casey's, the modified, you were able to punch your way in through, obviously qualify, and then just the way the race played out, you had to chase some cats down and get down to business.
Yeah, right. We took until Friday to get in, and it was actually our middle draw day on Friday, so we kind of had to get after the heat race from the second row, and fortunate enough to win the heat race, and then the racetrack for the qualifier was kind of starting to get pretty narrow, and kind of lap traffic we had to do to get the lead in that, and that was kind of what set us up for Saturday. Not winning that qualifier on Friday was going to make a huge difference for Saturday, so I kind of had to do what I had to do and get it done.
And then the beanbag toss. We're not gonna talk too much about your beanbag tossing skills, but but to get in that front 6, that's a big deal. Obviously to qualify, you can't win Super Nationals until you qualify. And just looking at your stats, the amount of qualifiers you've been able to win and be a part of the those toss-offs or however you want to name them, that's a pretty big deal, and that's a very good thing to do if you want to win a Super Nationals title.
Yeah, for sure. The beanbag toss, it's no secret I'm not very good at it. It's also probably not a secret I'm not a fan of it. I think that using something that requires a little skill to dictate our starting lineup doesn't really appeal to me. But that's not my problem. It is what it is. I think I've only won the bag toss twice out of all the years between the 2 cars that I have made it into the show. So that would be a total of 8 times, or 7 or 8 times. I think I've only won it twice. So not very good at the bag toss, but being in the top 6 is really what matters the most. Getting started in the front 2 rows and making sure you can get out, in front of, the front top 5 cars in the field to start the race is really key because the racetrack moves around so much. You want to kind of know where to go and stuff like that, and being up towards the front of the pack obviously is what matters. That difference of starting in the front 2 rows versus possibly having to start in the 3rd or even the 4th row. It's a major difference. Everybody that's at the front of that field is up there for a reason, so they have speed, and you're not necessarily just going to go blow their doors off. So starting up front is obviously huge.
No doubt. And for you, for listeners that don't know, it was a hard week for you, most definitely physically and mentally, with doing triple duty. And it's worth noting and not glossing over at all the amount of hard work that you guys had to do on Monday for the Sunoco IMCA late model portion of the week, and the amount of hard work you had to go and get that win. to more or less start your Super Nationals week off. That I got to say that was huge, and that was great to see.
Yeah, we went into the week with one goal in mind, and that was to win all three. Obviously, we came close, but the win two is still great. But that feature was extremely tough feature to run. I had to really focus and keep my head in it. After run around in third and the restart kind of didn't go my way, and I think we were back to sixth or seventh at some point, and luckily yellows come out and I kind of got to start the lane I wanted to and was able to take a couple cars back off, and then we kind of got one lucky break there with the yellow, and a couple of them broke in front of us, but at the end of the day our car was getting better and better by the end of the race, so I just kind of had to keep my head in it, search around and kind of wait for the cushion to slow down, and the last 8 laps or so, I was able to really move around the racetrack and, pick off some of the cars that had passed me on the restarts. And like you said, just kind of had to get after it. I didn't really think it was going to be a possibility with 10 to go. It was where we were sitting on the racetrack. I was a little worried, but, like I said, got a little lucky and kind of had to move around and, just made some shit happen.
No doubt. And fast forward to Saturday, first few laps, it's still that feeling out process, like the first handful of laps. You're running third, you're running a strong third, and then you have an opportunity to present itself on lap 6. You're able to thread the needle and get to the point.
Oh, for sure. When we fired off there in third, I knew right away that it was going to be a really good position to be in. I honestly was not intending on leading the race that early. Obviously that's what happened, and I'm not going to turn the option down. So, but I was content with riding around there and waiting to get to traffic, because for as long as I've been in the show, it usually goes green to checker for quite a while at least, if not the whole race. And when you get to traffic, that's when the lanes start moving, and the racetrack changes so much throughout that whole race, the transition of the lines, and it's best to not be leading when something like that happens. So you can see it first. And when they kind of went in there, it was lap 6 or 7, I think. When they kind of went in there racing each other really close, I was like, wow, this is, might be our best opportunity to get to the lead. And I kind of had to take it and, set the pace from there. And, it almost bit me. The lane started changing in 1 and 2 a lot, and I was one of the last cars to move off the top. So it almost bit me over there. But, like I said, it was you just have to pay attention to the racetrack changes so much. Leading the race is not the easiest thing to do. It's much easier to be in second, especially when the lanes are changing back and forth and you're in lap traffic. And leading is honestly not the place where you want to be. No doubt.
And just an amazing accomplishment this year for Supernats, able to win two in the same year. And then last year, to couple it with last year's success in the Sunoco IMCA Stock Cars, just the sheer amount of success that you've been able to accomplish in just a short couple years, it seems like, since racing a lot in the Midwest. Is it still feel dreamlike? Like, how in the heck is this going? Or, obviously it's a testament to hard work and dedication, but are there moments where it's like, man, I can't believe that we're able to have this so much success at these big stage events the way we are?
Yeah, for sure. I always dreamed of stuff like that. The day that I first walked into Super Nationals was 2020, my first time attending. And I still remember the feeling that I got when I saw how many people were there and how big the event was, because I had never seen it before. And, from that day on, I really wanted to win that race, just because it's so special to the people that win it. It's just a true testament to your equipment, your program, yourself as a driver. To be able to beat that many cars is truly amazing. It takes a little bit to sink in, I guess. It took a few days to finally sink in the fact that we had just won the mod race, let alone, and then to, realize that we made history I made history, doing winning 3 different ones was quite amazing. I never would have thought that, 4 years ago, moving to the Midwest, trying to chase a dream, I never would have thought that this is where I'd be standing today, talking about something like that.
No doubt, and I was just going to bring that up, right around 2020 or so. 2021, I think, is the first time I met you, was at the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Kokopah. And then I think you had just moved, or you were headed to like the Harcourt area. I think that's one of the first, Harcourt or Keystone, I think is where you guys were shopping out of. But yeah, 2021, it really seemed like that was your breakout year, winning the state championship in Iowa for the modifieds, which is not an easy accomplishment. That means you're having to race a lot and basically racing for the most part all week long for a very long time throughout the spring, summer.
Yeah, I came out here by myself in the summer of 20, and it was no secret we did not run very good. I won one race throughout the summer, and really just was not that great. Didn't have very much speed, and kind of all over the place. But I learned a lot throughout the whole summer, and I went home and kind of decided that that's where I really wanted to live. And in April of 21, I moved out to Iowa full time to live there and started racing. And I would agree, like you said, it was kind of a breakout year. I was able to win races at numerous different racetracks. I was close to a few points championships, but I took a couple nights off throughout the summer, and I kind of messed that up. But needless to say, it was just overall a breakout year for sure. Winning so many different races. I won World Nationals that year, and that was a very big race. And that kind of set me up. Since then, we've just kind of been going up and up each year, and never would have thought we'd end up where we are now.
Oh, absolutely. And we're talking about just the time frame of a couple of years, but for you and for people that don't know, for you, where was kind of the start for you in your racing career? Obviously from Santa Maria, California, originally, on the gorgeous and scenic Central California coast, not too, stone's throw from Santa Maria Speedway. How did you get introduced to racing, and your memories of first going to the track?
Yeah, memories of going to the track as a kid, watching my dad race and stuff. Local racing was so big as a kid, especially at our home track. There was, hundreds of cars each night, and and there was, B mains in a lot of the divisions, and it was a big deal. And I was in love with racing from as long as I can remember. And I raced go-karts when I was a little kid. I want to say around 8 years old, maybe. I really honestly don't remember, but go-karts as a little kid up until I was 14, and I started racing a four-cylinder because you had to be 14 to race the big track. So I finally started racing a four-cylinder when I was 14, and then the next year after that, I won the championship that first year in a handful of races, and moved into a sport mod, and it was kind of a weird jump, but I was driving a guy's limited late model, and it was that I only ran that a handful of times. But I ran a sport mod back and forth, and then kind of started driving somebody's modified a few years after that, hit or miss, and at that time of my life, to race 20 nights a year was a lot for me. That was a ton of racing, and so now I guess 20 nights a month is, pretty average. So
sure.
That was kind of how it all started. Ended up with my own modified eventually. I think the end of 2018, I ended up with my own modified and kind of doing my own program. My dad had moved out of state, so I didn't really have any help or lending hand at the time. I was kind of on my own to learn the stuff, and ended up with my own modified, races around with an open trailer and an old pickup, and just kind of built up a program from there. It's crazy to think back when it all started to what it is now. It's really amazing, and I'm extremely lucky to get to do what I do.
Well, and what's really cool is that Santa Maria Speedway was kind of one of those that I would be safe to say that there was a lot of people figured, this place is kind of done. Like, it's shuttered. It's, going through a roller coaster, but now they've got some folks in there that want to, not want to, they already have had some limited shows this year. And it sounds like, by my one visit that I was there earlier in July, they're wanting to have a full on schedule next season. So that's very promising, because for folks that have never been there, it's just great. It's right off of the 101. Like, literally, you could throw a baseball out of a car and hit the billboards of the back stretch. Don't do that, though. But but you know, it's just a scenic racetrack with a whole lot of history. I mean, just the names of drivers that have came out of that region is simply amazing to see the impact they've done, not just on the West Coast, but even on a national level.
Right. Yep. You know, growing up as a kid. I mean, that was where I raced at and stuff like that. That was the first track I went to and stuff. So it's cool to see them back up and running. I hope they can get a full schedule and till it stands up. I know the first couple races they've had have been a huge success. The grandstands have been full, and you know, they've had a decent amount of cars there and put on good shows. So I really hope they can keep it going. Obviously, I don't want to see my home track closed down. They've gone through a lot. I mean, between COVID and all this stuff in California, it was tough to open a racetrack in the first place, and then you go through all that stuff. So it's cool to see them back open and trying their hardest.
No doubt. Speaking of your home state of California, this past weekend you were able to attend the Budweiser Nationals at Bakersfield Speedway. That's definitely a marquee, prestigious event in the Shaw Race Cars Western region. And Saturday night, collecting the big payday, $3,000 to win, and did it in pretty dominating fashion once you got the race lead.
Yeah. Bud Nationals is one of them races I've always wanted to win, the guitars and all that, and the prestige of that event. So we came back here for it, it's quite the drive, but wanted to come back here and run it. It was a really good time. I had fun being back there. It's been so long since I've been to Bakersfield Speedway, and they did a really good job all weekend long with the racetrack, the facility, the show. They ran a great show. They took care of everybody, and it was awesome. It was fun to be back. And obviously winning it helps too, finally got a guitar and, can check that one off the list.
Well, and it's just so great too to see, unfortunately, but it's the way it goes. There's been folks that have raced in the Bakersfield specific area, and they've moved to the Midwest, but it's to better your career and to do it on more of a professional level, I guess would possibly be a statement that I would make. But, there's just this unending well of talent that comes from that area. I think obviously Troy Morris III, I think, has been on the national radar for a little bit, but I think a guy that some folks might want to be paying attention to is Gavin Manning. I mean, there were some times on some restarts where he was threatening, working on the top shelf, and he seems like he's kind of next in the line between yourself, Jake Pike, Colin Hibden, and Troy Morris III, of some guys that are going to be making some waves in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Bakersfield makes a good racer out of you. That was always a place growing up. If you could win at Bakersfield, you could win at a lot of places. There's really tough competition at Bakersfield, and the racetrack is tough to race on and tough to pass on, and everybody was always good there. So those kids like that grew up racing there at Bakersfield and learned the hard way. They're good racers, and they'll learn a lot and get somewhere and compete on other levels for sure.
Well, and that's not to take anything from the grizzled vets too. I mean, Bobby Hogue, he's still lethal. Jim Pettit the second's fast. Troy Folger just won his second straight Central California Clash title, and it's been cool to see Robbie Sawyer make some limited starts. Also, Brad Pounds coming out every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. There was a good field of cars there this weekend. It was cool to see a lot of the guys that veterans, that I grew up watching. I grew up watching Robbie and Brad and Bobby and, even Troy. I grew up watching all those guys race as a kid. So it's cool to race against them and stuff like that. It's cool. It's definitely cool to see them at the racetrack.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Driver's Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly, at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of a replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Switching gears a little bit, 38T. What's the story between the number selection there? Obviously, T representing Thornton, but why'd you choose 38?
My dad's number when he was racing was always number 30.
Okay.
And at our home track of Santa Maria, like I said, there was a lot of cars that would show up, and back in the day, you didn't add letters. That wasn't really a thing. Nobody added letters to their numbers. So out of respect, the person that was in the division the longest, he got to keep his number. So he went from 30 to 31, and then I believe when he moved to the modified division in Santa Maria, he had to change his number to 38. So that was where the 38 came from. It came from him, and that was just the number I started with. I think it's cool because you really don't see very many 38s at the racetrack. Oddly enough, it's just one of those numbers that there's not a lot of, and the 38T just kind of has a ring to it. It's kind of, odd in its own way that, there's just, you don't really see a 38 very often.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, your look is always slick, whether you have predominantly white or predominantly black with your colors, just that orange, crisp, slightly fluorescent orange number and letter combination you do. It stands out, and it's always looking sharp.
Yeah, fluorescent orange, that's been with me ever since I got a wrapped race car. Before, when I just had stickers, it didn't really matter. But ever since I started wrapping cars and stuff like that, the fluorescent orange has stuck with me. That's something that probably won't ever go away.
Well, this can be a two-part answer for you, or it can just be one. For folks that have never been to Santa Maria, it's a nice city. I've represented as a city, not like a little town. Like I said, south of San Luis Obispo, probably about 20 miles or so, and it's a happening area, and it just gives off kind of that coastal California vibe that you would hear something out of the Beach Boys song. I guess the first part of my one question is, for folks that have never been to Santa Maria, what are some cool things or some cool places to eat at if they've never been there?
In Santa Maria, there's lots of cool places. There's a ton of local burger joints in Santa Maria and stuff. I guess there's just being coastal like that, being local, there's a lot of mom and pop burger places. I think those are definitely the popular places around the coast to go to back and forth. If you're 2 hours away in Bakersfield, we recommend Salty's, my uncle's barbecue restaurant. That's really good food there.
Oh, and then Pismo Beach. Like I tried to stop at the beach, but I was not the smartest person, and figured, there'll not really be anybody at Pismo Beach, like at the popular spot at like noon on a Saturday. I was wrong there. That place was jammed, and surfing's kind of a big, like down closer to, what would that be, the Cape. There's a lot of surf waves. I've heard that is like world class, like for people to learn how to surf. Yep. or surfing competitions.
Yeah, Pismo Beach is very popular. There's a lot of tourists who go to Pismo Beach. It's a beautiful beach. The weather's always fantastic, and the sand is just really clean. A lot of the beaches up and down the state, it's hard to run into clean sand, and there's a very large dune section at Pismo, so there's just a lot of attraction there at Pismo Beach, and the water's always clean. It's never nasty. And, Pismo Beach is a very, very, very popular beach.
Well, that was part one. Part two, Belle Plaine, Iowa, for people that have never been there. What are some points of interest or local points of interest for people maybe driving through that they want to check out some cool stuff?
The most popular thing in Belle Plaine, Iowa is probably the Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
That's about it. There's not too much in that town. There's a grocery store and gas stations, but Mexican restaurant's my favorite place.
Okay. I was going to say, was it the Sinclair Dinosaur in downtown Belle Plaine? Because apparently...
we don't have one of those.
Per Jerry Van Sickle, you have an extreme fascination with Sinclair dinosaurs.
Yep, they're pretty cool. We have one of those up in the yard, but
Nice. Yeah, because what I think this winter, or maybe it was the winter before, you were saying you wanted to get one for your own personal, personal ownership, and that's cool that you finally obtained one.
Oh yeah, it took a little bit to get one, but we got one now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's just been so incredible to see your career unfold the way it has. And, you mentioned Salty's barbecue and catering, and that they just seem to be instrumental for you. And they helped a lot too. It's cool to see for the Budweiser Nationals. They were able to kick in some extra money for the purse. And they seem to be doing, not just for racetracks, but for race teams, doing wonderful things.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, that Salty's barbecue and catering does a lot for racing in general.
I haven't had a chance to eat there yet. I was supposed to go to Bud Nationals, but I had a family emergency, so I'm still banking the next time that I get to go there. That's going to be my number one spot for a pre-race lunch. Yeah,
it's great. Awesome barbecue, and highly recommend it. They do such a good job. Everything's made fresh every day. Never anything left over, and just fantastic quality food.
Awesome. As we kind of wrap things up and let you get back to driving back home, ways that folks can follow you on social media or through the internet to look at your schedule, upcoming races, results, anything like that, or to purchase any sort of apparel, t-shirts or sweatshirts. Is there a good location currently right now?
Yeah. All my apparel is on my website, DylanThorntonRacing.com.
All right, all the good business is there.
Yes, sir. That's where everything's at.
Awesome, and you got a shirt or you got an apparel order, and so Christmas is right around the corner. So if people are wanting to sport the threads of a winner, they can just log on to that, right?
Yes, sir. We ship every week.
Awesome. Real fast, people that you want to thank, because no doubt relocating from California to Iowa was a titanic task and a big life decision also. Folks that have been able to help you that you'd like to acknowledge, and feel free to mention them again if you have, and also sponsors and marketing partners that have made these last few years, especially 2024, possible.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to start with my uncle, Salty's Barbecue and Catering. He does a lot for my program. Without him, many years ago, we would not be anywhere close to where I am today. So I can't thank him enough. Him and my aunt, they do so much for me. Next, my mom and stepdad, they're always there to support me no matter what. Some of my biggest fans. My girlfriend and her family, Sean, he gives me an amazing shop to work out of. To not only run my race program, but run my business. And without that, I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do today. So he provides me with what I need on that aspect. And he always has my back if I need anything too. So shout out to her family and stuff like that. As far as all the sponsors on the side of that thing, like Sky Farms, Peterson Insurance, Salty's Barbecue Catering, Garrett's Electric, Afco Racing Products, Performance Bodies, Dynamic Driveline, Third Stars, Weir's Machine, all the great product sponsors we have. Dirt Defender, Willwood, Quick Car, K1 Race Gear, CMI, Jimmy Gusson, Custom Concrete. He does a lot for me in my program. One of my best friends. Toby K's Hideaway, my own little shock business, DTR Enterprises. Gonna shout them out, and just everybody that helps out on this thing.
Well, awesome. You were still to date you're the only person to interview me on IMCA TV, and that it was a short interview because you started getting personal and asked how much I was making money before taxes. So we had to cut the interview short.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't very good at it.
It's okay. Maybe we'll do a retake. Now, you've won a couple Super Nationals down everything, and you've got the interviewer skills.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe one day we can give her another shot.
There we go. Well, Dylan, it's always a pleasure, and I always enjoy talking to you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that it's a safe trip back for you, and hopefully we'll be seeing you. IMCA TV Winter National is going to be seeing you at Casa Grande in January, or that to be determined?
Right now it is penciled in, so
okay.
It's a good possibility, but you never know.
Awesome. Well, take care, and always great talking with you.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions.